Men forget more easily the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony. You get the promotion. The room smiles, the chat explodes with confetti, and then the air changes. A request that used to take an hour now takes a week. 2 meetings are scheduled at the same time. A harmless joke carries an extra edge. Nothing open, everything sideways. This is not a mood, it is a price. Jealousy arrives the moment your leverage becomes visible, and it starts billing you in delay, resistance, and rumor. Success is a signal flare. It tells the city what you have and what others don't. People who wanted you to rise begin to want you to pause long enough for them to catch up or pull you down. Watch the first week after your win. Calendar collisions, late documents, unreturned messages, accidental omissions from email threads. These are not accidents. They are soft strikes, plausible deniability wrapped around envy's hard intent. Treat them like taxes, not mysteries. Understand why it appears where incentives collide. Your larger role means more budget, more say, more spotlight. That same spotlight raises the contrast on everyone else's shadows. If your gain shrinks their lane, they will not shout, "I resent you." They will make you pay in friction. That friction can be priced and steered. You are not here to soothe feelings. You are here to reduce drag and keep motion. If you must choose, be respected before you are liked. The quiet fear of crossing your standards is cheaper than the loud hope of changing them. Visible kindness without boundaries invites tests, because it signals that the cost of misbehavior is a conversation. Jealousy feeds on that signal. The more you try to appease it with discounts, extra time, extra access, extra credit, the more appetite you create. Approval is an empty bowl. It never fills. Respect grows where consequences are known. You do not raise your voice. You raise the price of obstruction. Reassign seats for serial lateness. Publish decision logs so "I didn't know" dies on the table. Close meetings at the scheduled time, no matter who arrives late. When kindness appears, it comes after order, not instead of it. People prefer fairness to flattery when money, status, and time are at stake. They just won't say it out loud. Carry the rule. Handle envy by controlling optics, tempo, and terms. Starve it of fuel. Feed it clear costs. Optics first. Reduce gloating surfaces. Share wins as system wins. Rotate the spotlight on your team without surrendering authority. Post metrics, not boasts. Make the story about standards met, not personalities blessed. Envy feeds on comparison more than on truth. Remove the mirrors it loves to stare into. Tempo next. Acknowledge fast, decide slow. You will be baited into midnight clarifications and hallway debates. Decline the theater. Move talks to daylight with an agenda and notes. The gossiper needs your hurry. Make them wait. Delay converts noise into data: who shows up, who vanishes, who changes their tone when others are present. The longer you hold your pace, the more their tests cost them instead of you. Terms last. Write the rules you will actually enforce. Define scope, cadence, and credit. Pre-commit to response windows and escalation paths. One warning, then a change in access or responsibility. No speeches, no public trials. Quiet enforcement starves jealousy of attention while teaching the room what reality costs. When someone tries the "if you really cared" line, let the silence price the manipulation. Emotion is not currency here. Performance is. You are not hard to be cruel. You are hard to be clear. The sentimental fantasy says you can out-explain resentment. You cannot. You can only out-govern it. Keep the optics modest, the tempo yours, and the terms written. Smile when it fits. But if you must choose, choose respect. Like will follow. When rooms get calmer, work gets cleaner, and promises stop slipping on the oil of envy. Starve envy of fuel, feed it costs. The nature of men is to be ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, covetous. You were told to calm envy with kindness, offer more access, more credit, more explanations. The room softens, and you think the fire is out. It isn't. Appeasement is fuel. Envy feeds on comparison, not on your gifts. When you lower your price to calm a resenter, you teach one lesson: apply pressure, and the price will drop again. Appeasement backfires because it converts resentment into a plan. A peer who dislikes your momentum begins with small probes. Loop me on that thread. Add my name to the slide. Let me present optics matter. You comply to keep peace. The signal is clear. Pressure pays. Appetite grows. Soon your calendar carries their meetings, your wins wear their fingerprints, and your weekends host their emergencies. Gratitude never arrives. Training does. By the time you notice, you are funding their status with your hours and diluting your reputation to keep the hallway quiet. Treat it like arithmetic. Track the ask, the give, and the effect. If a concession does not reduce friction or improve output, it is not diplomacy, it is tribute. Replace tribute with terms. Shareable after you own these deliverables. Co-present if we split scope and risk. Access follows contribution. Artifacts due Friday. Your tone stays warm while the exchange becomes real. You cannot starve envy with offerings. You can make it pay full price to stand near you, and price is the only language resentment respects. The home version is identical. A sibling resents your stability and wants small favors that scale. A friend needs endless reassurance but never shows for you. Every discount deepens the belief that they deserve a share of your calm. Without boundaries, kindness becomes entitlement. With boundaries, kindness becomes a choice that can continue without rot. Love is not a coupon book. It is a contract with terms both sides can meet when it rains. Now, transparency theater. You're told to be radically open, to over-explain decisions, to show your heart. Used with judgment, clarity builds trust. Used as compulsion, it gifts rivals your maps, timelines, doubts, and pressure points. The manager who wants your seat studies your detailed postmortems to find where you hesitate. A competitor watches your public roadmap and launches 2 weeks before your milestone. A resentful peer mines your full context for lines to quote when you are tired. You are not hiding truth by pacing disclosure. You are protecting advantage while you deliver it. Legitimate clarity is rules, criteria, and outcomes. Exploitable disclosure is moods and margins. Publish the framework and the scoreboard. Guard the calendar of your pain. Share KPIs, review dates, and decision logic. Do not broadcast who is shaky, which stakeholder rattles you, or which dependency is late but unannounced. If someone wants more detail, trade detail for commitment. Happy to walk through the reasoning once you own this slice of scope. Information should leave you at the speed that preserves leverage. Create channels that slow extraction. Write crisp docs. Hold office hours with a clock. Route questions through a queue. You are not hiding, you are pacing. Notice how fast ambient outrage shrinks when the open bar closes and the cash bar opens. The loudest critics often want free access, not real accountability. When access requires work, their volume drops and your signal rises. Then the praise trap. Approval feels like safety because crowds can lift or bury reputations, but the more you chase it, the more readable you become. Critics bank your need and time their attacks for maximum pain. Right before a launch, near promotion season, on demo day. They bait you with performative kindness, draw you into vulnerability, and store your phrases for later. When leverage is needed, Tone flips and a public apology is demanded. Your need to be seen as good becomes a leash they hold. Invert the frame. Seek respect over applause, outcomes over optics. Treat praise as wind, not compass. Build rituals that reduce dependence on ambient approval. Small room retros, private scorecards tied to standards. Mentors who critique without theater. In conversation, move from self-defense to questions. What outcome are you asking me to change? Which metric is at issue? Fog thins under numbers. If a critique evaporates when quantified, it was never feedback. It was pressure in makeup. Practical moves are simple. Stop granting reflex credit to soothe feelings. Credit by artifact, not by volume. Stop lengthening explanations when pushback is emotional rather than factual. Replace essays with decisions and logs. Stop accepting emergency timelines that only apply to you. Tie acceleration to reciprocal concessions, scope reduction, resource addition, or public ownership of risk. Stop donating early access to resentful audiences. Either release for all at once or exchange previews for concrete commitments. 2 scenes. In product, a peer resents your growth and demands visibility. You grant co-owner status, they block boldly and vanish at delivery. Next cycle, you switch. Contributor seats require pre-commit artifacts. Miss a dated task and you lose voice on scope. Complaints spike, then fade, and throughput climbs. In media, you post detailed roadmap threads to prove transparency. Rivals preempt announcements and frame you as slow. You pivot to quarterly summaries with shipped proof and keep specifics for signed partners. Outrage dries up when there is nothing cheap to harvest. Envy is not cured by softness, it is managed by structure. You cannot persuade a resenter out of their mirror. They are staring at their reflection and calling it your fault. What you can do is remove the cheap wins. No discounts for pressure, no maps without reciprocity, no praise, hunger to harvest. Your calm becomes governance, not entertainment. Your words become bills, not balm. Move like a quiet treasurer, count, price, and enforce. Keep the door open for people who bring effort and close it to those who bring appetite alone. Be gracious on the surface and precise beneath it. You will lose some handshakes. You will gain a circle that respects the cost of standing near you. That is not cruelty. That is the architecture of a career and a life that can scale without rotting from the inside. Do not hate the envious. Outlast them. Make their favorite tools useless. When pressure meets a price, when theater meets a process, when bait meets a blank stare, the season changes. They move on to softer targets. You keep building unmoved by noise, unmoved by flattery, moved only by terms you chose and signals you set. Stop feeding envy. Make it pay full price. Need feeds envy. Envy feeds your enemies. Envy is a furnace, and you become fuel when you cannot bear. To look ordinary for one quiet beat. Approval addiction, humiliation, sensitivity, and status anxiety are not moods, they are handles. Opponents grip them and steer your timing, your price, and your mouth. You call it transparency, fairness, authenticity. They call it free intel. If you want less envy, stop pouring oil on fire. If you want to survive envy, stop leaking heat. Begin with a trigger, inventory, be clinical, fast rebuttals. The moment someone questions your timeline or price, you reply within minutes at midnight, on weekends to set the record straight. You think speed proves strength, it proves you can be summoned. Long justifications. A short inquiry becomes 1,000 words to seem fair. You over-disclose process, margins, and internal debates ammunition wrapped as openness. Public price cuts. A raised eyebrow yields an instant discount to keep momentum. You buy warmth with your future. Defensive humor. You mask sting with jokes, teaching the room where to poke next. Write the foretells where you can see them. Fast rebuttal, long justification, public price cut, defensive joke. If one appears, a wound is driving. Audit with the body. Breath high, drop it to the belly for 2 full cycles. Shoulders climbing, lower the voice by half a note, fingers itching to type. Count 3 slow beats and ask 1 narrow question. Which part is unclear? Or what exact outcome do you want? Questions force them to show their hand before you show yours. Feel the joke forming, swallow it. Humor that manages status in hot rooms is just an invoice delayed. You are not acting calm. You are buying time so judgment can arrive before your face moves. Need is a leash. The craving to be liked or to be seen as fair hands tempo and terms to anyone shameless enough to pull. In deals, the approval addict donates concessions to stop silence. If we sign today, I can shave 10%. In teams, the fairness performer announces exceptions, so nobody feels bad. Then spends months cleaning up drift. In romance, the person who must be chosen sends paragraphs to prevent ambiguity and sets a price for their presence that others quickly learn to negotiate down. You feel moral. You are simply readable. Tie neediness to losses you can count. Approval need equals accelerated clocks, softer terms, and longer messages. Admiration need equals public performances that lock you into deadlines you cannot meet. Status need equals visible generosity toward outsiders and hidden resentment toward your own people. Build restraints that fire automatically. Decide price floors, scope edges, and response windows, then publish them to yourself and your team. Replace hope words with rule words. Not, I hope this works, but here are the terms. Not, I can be flexible, but scope changes price, list changes. Predictability will offend those who ate from your chaos. Let them adjust to the new climate. Understand humiliation. Loops. Public slights are the enemy's favorite spark. A rival suggests you overcharge. A commenter clips you out of context. A colleague questions you on a call. Pride surges, and you perform threads, speeches, screenshots, refunds, promises. For 5 minutes you feel righteous. For 5 weeks they hold your map. You reveal thin calendars, fragile stakeholders, and the lever that moves you fear of looking small. Allies lose confidence because you keep proving you can be provoked. Rivals gain patience because you keep paying for relief. Break the loop with boring strength. Move from heat to ink. Institute windows. No public statements inside 24 hours of a public hit. No concessions inside 72. Make one measurable correction if a real error exists, then stop. In the room, partition pressure. There are 3 issues, let's order them. On feeds, scope instead of defend. We'll address deliverables in the working session. Your aim is not vindication. Your aim is continuity. Relief sells tomorrow. Containment buys it back. Study how opponents harvest your tells. Praise, then ask. We love your transparency. Could you share the cost breakdown? Counterfeit clocks. Offer expires at midnight. Weaponized silence. They vanish so you fill the void with discounts and details. Social comparison. Another team shipped in a week. Jokes that push you into defensive humor. Each move is a finger in your wound. Build mechanical counters. We don't move under clocks. Quality requires order. Earliest start after deposit is the 15th. Happy to discuss once scope is written. We answer once. Further updates follow milestones. Mechanisms beat moods. A rule that survives adrenaline protects you from your own need. Now the protocol. Mirror, mask, knife. Mirror is naming the wound in real time. This is approval hunger. This is humiliation barking. This is status panic. Naming moves it from driver to date passenger. Train micro-reps. When typing bubbles appear, say the name. Breathe low, wait 1 minute. When someone slow rolls you, say the name. Sip water, ask a narrow question. The body learns that silence is not danger, and comparison is not command. Mask is closing optics, fewer tells, slower tempo. This is not deceit, it is discipline. Publish your rhythm, reply windows, decision days, pricing rules, scope gates. Use short sentences and time-stamped commitments. Let the world learn that your clock obeys your calendar, not their adrenaline. A clean mask makes you unreadable where it matters and reliable where it counts. Allies can organize around you. Rivals cannot harvest your fluctuations. Knife is the cut one self-sabotaging habit you remove now. Choose a rule that bites and frees. I will never volunteer a discount unprompted. I will never post within 24 hours of a public jab. I will never justify beyond one sentence in live rooms. Etch it where you can look when hot. The first days hurt. Then the leash thins, and the room stops treating you like a vending machine for relief. Make it vivid. A prospect writes, "If you match X today, it's yours." Your chest tightens. Mirror. Approval. Mask. Decisions finalize after review tomorrow at noon. Current terms stand. Knife. No unprompted discount. A panelist says, others deliver faster. Mirror. Status anxiety. Mask. Quality requires order. Earliest start after deposit is the 15th. Knife. One sentence justification limit. A rival posts a jab. Mirror. Humiliation, sensitivity. Mask. Silence until your window. Knife. One small correction tomorrow tied to facts, then no further comment. Remember the core law. Envy hunts for movement. If your face moves first, it wins. If your price moves first, it wins. If your mouth moves first, it wins. Your job is not to erase envy, it is to deny it purchase. Inventory the triggers that leak need. Convert needs into numbers and windows. If you obey, refuse the theater of outrage. Carry the protocol everywhere. Mirror the wound, mask the optics, cut with the knife. Make boredom your moat. Make procedure your armor. Make time your ally. Hold still, hold standard, hold price. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Envy is a quiet drum. You hear it only after you have already marched to its beat. It begins with tempo, not truth. A small provocation lands a vague post that smells like you. A smile with a blade hidden in a compliment. A teammate praising a rival while studying your reaction. You answer instantly. Your message is longer than your position requires and warmer than your office allows. In that speed you reveal need, the urge to be cleared, admired, obeyed. Your opponent does not argue facts. He rewrites the frame. The new story is not what happened, but why are you so eager? In one breath, you move from author to defendant, and the crowd reads your pulse as guilt. Walk the seconds as if a clerk were recording them. 0. The jab. 1. Your paragraph. 3. For context, you leak details that never belonged in daylight. 5. They reply with one cold sentence that owns the hour. 7. You escalate to screenshots and subtext. 9. They ask a short surgical question that widens the hole. 12. You contradict your first line to plug the leak you created. 15. An apology for tone. 18. An apology for substance. 20. A promise you cannot keep. Pace is power. The fastest voice becomes the easiest to steer. Make pace control central. If they choose the hour, you choose the format, a single paragraph with nouns and dates. If they choose the format, you choose the hour. Silence is not surrender. When it buys position, it is the right to be the last clear voice. Now the contradiction cascade. Haste splits you into versions. At noon you vow transparency. At 2 you claim confidentiality. At 6 you carve an exception. Just this, once. None is a lie. Together they look like design. Screenshots turn into coins. Each edit meant as courtesy becomes a bargaining chip. You admitted X, therefore you owe Y. The archive becomes your prosecutor. Your own timeline cross-examines you. Volatility manufactures evidence because it gifts the other side. Contrast, sequence, and receipts. You did not need an enemy to forge a weapon. You minted it yourself. Cure it with structure. Answer the charged claim, not its orbit. Trade fog for nouns, heat for dates, posture for records. Do the review in private. Present one clean page when it is ready. If you are wrong, name the act and the repair once. If you are right, let the clock spread your case. Brevity, properly armed, is armor. Speak as if your enemy will read it to a jury because he will. Envy will try to turn the feed into a mirror where you perform your worth. Decline the stage. The crowd cannot repair what only discipline repairs. Next comes coalition erosion. Allies are not a choir, they are lenders of credibility. Steady hands avoid costly drama. Neutrals migrate to whoever wastes less time. A board member will not invest reputation in a leader who breaks rhythm at every slight. A senior engineer will not anchor a roadmap to a manager who fights in public chat. A client will not stake budget on a partner who bargains from apology. People do not leave because they hate you. They drift because volatility taxes their calendar. Envy is expensive for bystanders. They will move their work to steadier rooms. Reverse the drift with cadence. Promise your inner circle. I will speak once, clearly, after verification. Keep it. Send short factual updates before anything public so no ally is blindsided by your impulse. Reward the reliable in daylight. Correct the volatile in private. Document both. Predictability is kindness in a coalition because it lets serious people plan. When your tempo is known, patient partners stand closer. Opportunists lose angles. The loudest onlookers get bored and move on. You do not need a chorus when you keep a schedule. You need a clock that others can trust. Envy also distorts your aim. You spend hours shadowboxing a rival's applause instead of moving your own pieces. You match their posts, not their results. Remember the true board: price, leverage, allies, time. Ask, what move widens my options? If the answer is a public sentence, delay until it carries weight. Most of the time, the answer is a private call, a clean document, or a delivered metric. You do not outshine a rival by speaking, you outshine by shipping. You are not paid to win a comment thread, you are paid to change the map. Face and price are not metaphors, they are invoices. After public flailing, you pay higher trust interest. Terms worsen, shorter leashes, closer oversight, smaller budgets. A funder prices in communication risk. A contract adds review clauses, milestone gates, and penalties for change in tone. A team receives daily check-ins and loses autonomy that once made them fast. The cost compounds. Every time you buy relief with words today, the market widens the spread on you tomorrow. Envy makes you reach for applause. The bill arrives as control surrendered to other hands. Quantify the bill so you respect it. A frantic thread can shave real value from a round. A public contradiction can add weeks of compliance to a project. A performative apology can harden into a permanent concession structure, discounts, free months. Escalated support because once you bargain from guilt, the other side keeps pricing you as guilty. Before any reply, ask 2 questions. What is the price of silence? What is the price of speech? Choose the price that buys position. In negotiation, this often means saying nothing until you can present one page with numbers. In leadership, it often means a short policy and a dated enforcement. In love, it often means no thread at all. Practical counters are simple, not easy. Draft in a notebook. Pay a tax of time before every reply. Route heat through one advisor who gains nothing from your noise. If envy prickles, convert heat into a ledger. Write 3 moves that advance your edge without naming a rival. Hire, ship, negotiate. In meetings, state rules once, apply them twice, and stop. Compassion inside structure strengthens order. Compassion outside structure becomes cruelty to the reliable. Do not let envy dress itself as kindness to the noisy while it taxes the loyal. Modern cases are blunt. A competitor's launch steals your spotlight. You want to clap back with a thread. You do not. You gather proof, ship a result, and announce once with dates and numbers. An employee courts the crowd by mocking policy in the group channel. You skip the sermon. You issue a written correction on Wednesday at noon and enforce it Friday at 5. A former partner posts a personal story. You decline the theater. You speak one line to the only person and owed an answer and close the door. Each choice seems small. Together they announce that your hour is yours. Return to the first drumbeat. Envy is a fact of court and company. You cannot kill it. You can deny it your steering wheel. Keep the hour. Harden your language. Guard your archives. Choose one move that widens your options and makes your allies safer tomorrow than they were today. Let others gamble on heat. You will compound on calm. Where envy seeks spectacle, you build statecraft. Where rivals chase applause, you secure position. That is how a prince survives a market full of eyes. Hold the hour, price your words, and move once with weight. Calm is the table, enforcement is the ink. Drop the fantasy of winning hearts by shining brighter. Rooms do not pay for charm, they pay for order. In every tie work, politics, intimacy, you are not auditioning. You are negotiating structures of incentives, risks, and enforcement. Predictability beats charisma because people must plan around you, not guess you. When you stop performing goodness and start writing rules, you stop hoping for loyalty and start manufacturing it. Respect before warmth. You can be liked without being obeyed, praised, invited, tagged, yet quietly bypassed when stakes rise. Respect begins the moment your state becomes forecastable and your consequences become real. If people cannot predict you, they hedge against you. Hedging is the first distance. So you pick a rhythm and make it law. One tone on Monday and Friday. The same answer at noon and at midnight. Your yes and your no cost the same on good days and bad. Volatility buys applause. Reliability buys authority. At work, the charming manager buys pizza, tells stories, and then needs a favor every weekend. The team smiles and slips because the cost of slipping is zero. Replace friendly chaos with a cadence that never wobbles. Priorities by noon Monday. Midweek check at 5. Friday, wrap with next steps. Miss an upstream, hand off twice, and scope shrinks automatically. Next sprint. No scolding, no theater. In dating, flirtation opens doors, but reliability keeps them unlocked. If you say you do not argue after 10, you do not, especially when you are baited. Predictability crowns respect because people can plan with you, not around you. Terms over stories. Stories are warm fog. Terms are steel rails. Translate feeling talk into agreements that hold under pressure. Scope, cadence, access, credit, consequence. Scope, what exactly is promised and what is not. Cadence, when updates land and when renegotiation windows open. Access, who gets your time and how they book it. Credit, who is named and how gains are split. Consequence: what changes when a promise slides? Simple words, stated once, enforced quietly. Examples: work, 3 deliverables by the 10th. Updates Tuesday and Friday. Slips cut scope, not sleep. Collaboration, 2 posts a week. Shared dashboard, first of month renegotiation. Miss, twice in a month and we pause or rebalance. Family, I visit first Sundays. If booked, I move to next month. Guilt does not change the calendar. Intimacy, we discuss conflict in calm hours. Shouting ends the talk for the day. Cancellations within 6 hours cost the next slot. The point is not punishment. The point is predictability. People relax when the price is visible. Renegotiate only with new facts. New market, new role, newborn facts. Busy, crazy week. And you know how it is, weather. If you let weather rewrite the contract, you teach the room to pay you with storms. Keep the line you drew when you were calm. Adjust only when the world truly moves. People may call that cold. Over time, they call it fair. Signals, not pleas. Pleas are speeches designed to rent attention. Signals are patterns that buy trust. Reduce promises to near zero and make your value observable. Set response windows you can keep and then keep them. If you run on 24 hours, reply within 24. If you need 48, claim it and meet it. Document decisions. Who decided, on what scope, by which date? Keep your delivery cadence when you are tired. A rule that fails on bad days is decoration. A rule that holds on bad days is governance. Use signals to price other people. After a miss, do they repair unprompted with a plan and a make good? Or do they perform a 10-minute apology and ask for faith? When you say 7 sharp, do they arrive at 7 or 7:12 with 3 texts? When you decline respectfully, do they escalate or adjust? People reveal respect not in compliments, but in how they treat your limits when nobody is watching. Let patterns, not speeches, set your exchange rate for attention. Enforcement must be quiet and repeatable. Quiet means you do not argue the rule at the door. The door simply does not open early. Repeatable means a tired version of you can execute the rule without drama. Design boundaries that run on muscle memory. Meetings that start late end on time. Raised voices end the talk until tomorrow. Chronic late cancellations lose priority in your calendar. You enforce like a clock, not like a storm. Over weeks, the room tunes to your frequency or walks out. Either outcome is order. Convert morality into numbers. Be considerate becomes confirm by noon or I release the slot. Be loyal becomes shared board and Friday numbers. Respect me becomes no public fights. Escalation pauses the conversation. People understand clocks, budgets, and access better than sermons. When the price is clear, decent people pay it. Opportunists self-select out without a fight. Here is the reframe. It was never love doing the heavy lift. It was negotiated incentives, priced risk, and consistent enforcement, the machinery that makes cooperation predictable. Charm may open the first meeting, but standards run the year. When your terms are clear and your signals repeat, affection is no longer surveillance, it is surplus. People breathe easier because nobody is guessing the cost. You are chosen not for the sparkle of your mood, but for the order your presence creates. That is the kind of trust that survives heat. Standards first, then smiles. You do not defeat envy by begging to be liked. You govern it by design. Treat jealousy as whether you can forecast and root, not a god you must appease. When the room measures itself against you, you do not shrink, you structure. This is not cruelty, it is prudence. Keep your warmth for friends. Keep your clarity for the crowd. If you build a visible system with quiet rules, people adjust to the rails and stop testing your patience for sport. Your aim is minimal noise, maximal predictability, steady output. Begin with optics architecture. Visibility feeds comparison, so you choose what is seen and how it is framed. Share wins as team outcomes and publish metrics, not boasts. Instead of, "I crushed this," you write, "Launch, shipped 2 days early, bug rate 0.7%, revenue up 12%, thanks to engineering, QA, and support." Rotate the spotlight without surrendering authority. You state the decision. A lieutenant walks the data, and the file carries names and numbers. Post weekly summaries, what moved, what slipped, what's next, so progress is visible without chest beating. Numbers speak, adjectives inflame. Now response windows, the metronome that turns emotion into leverage. Acknowledge fast, decide slow. In person, take one full breath before answering a barb or bait. Count it, sip water, jot a word. Over text, hold 3 hours for ordinary issues. For formal matters, take 24 to 48 hours. Communicate the clock so silence is not misread as fear. Received reviewing, reply by noon tomorrow. Urgency is a weapon of the insecure. Refuse to duel on their timeline. If pressed, answer now. Anchor the frame. I'll reply after verification. Expect my note by 4 p.m. The clock protects judgment. Next, a credit and scarcity policy. Attention is currency. Budget it. Predefine how credit is split and how access works. Decide in cold blood what you will and will not attend. Meeting limits protect respect. 2 external slots per day, 1 internal review, everything else in writing. Publish the rule so requests are filtered by policy, not by mood. Scarcity raises respect and lowers begging because it turns maybe into a schedule. When you grant access, make it count. Agenda sent the day before, minutes the day after. Decisions recorded in a shared log. Office hours replace hallway lobbying. Boundary execution turns lines into law. State standards once. Enforce quietly. Escalate once. You do not argue with envy. You make it expensive to act on. Standards. No back-channel lobbying. No public digs. No scope changes in meetings. Enforcement. When crossed, act without a speech. Move the conversation to a single thread. Remove a name from a panel. Convert a meeting into a memo. Escalation. If patterns repeat, execute one consequence that closes the loop. Access reduced, budget reassigned, role paused for a quarter with a path back tied to metrics. One action teaches better than a week of lectures. Scenes make this real. A colleague performs innocent questions that chip at your competence. First time, you answer with facts and return to the agenda. Second time, you shift decisions into a shared document and invite comments in writing. Third time, you remove them from the forum and inform them privately. We will proceed in writing to avoid side debates. You archive the thread. You did not outwit envy. You out-administered it. The message spreads faster than gossip. Debates are for documents, not theatrics. Another scene. A partner demands last-minute airtime on your webinar, so people know who did the real work. You apply policy, not emotion. You decline the live change, cite the pre-announced lineup, and offer the next. Cycles slot with criteria. Case study draft by Friday, metrics by Monday, dry run on Wednesday. You document the decision in the thread and continue prep. No apology, no drama, no backstage deals. The rule protects the event and spares you from running a popularity court in public. Counter intel by silence turns quiet into deterrence. Ask pointed questions, speak last, log contradictions, and reward private candor, not public performance. When someone brings "people are saying," ask which people by name. When a claim appears, you take all the credit. Request examples with dates. Keep messages short and factual, one claim per sentence. No adjectives you will regret. Over time, performers learn that fog earns work, forms, names, receipts. Meanwhile, the honest learn that private, specific feedback earns time and influence. You meet candor with access. You meet theater with forms. Use this system outside the office. In dating, envy arrives as tests late, replies, baiting comments, attention auctions. Your optics live a visible, steady life. Do not overshare wins as bait for approval. Your windows acknowledge, do not answer when provoked. Plan in the daylight. Your scarcity, limited availability, high reliability. Your boundary, no triangulation, no competition games. Your counter-intel, questions that surface intent. What are you asking for exactly? Those who want you will plan, not provoke. If games return, access closes once and quietly. Run a weekly audit so the system learns. 5 minutes every Friday. Did optics lower comparison or feed it? Did windows hold? Did the credit and scarcity policy reduce begging? Which boundary fired? Which question produced the most data? Write one change for next week and one public praise you will deliver. Track 3 signals: cycle time, error rate, and requests that arrive with agendas versus requests that arrive with emotion. Fear burns fast, systems last. You improve the rails, not your temper. Your aim is not to erase jealousy, it is to leave it nothing cheap to bite. You remove mystery, slow the tempo, price attention, enforce standards, and make quiet the path to truth. The room may never sing your name, but it will move on time. The few who came to chase spotlight find the lights too cool to warm their hands. The many who came to work feel protected by rules that do not bend for the loud. You do not flatter the crowd, you govern the conditions under which work is done. Do not apologize for structure. You are not colder, you are clearer. The shadow wants applause for chaos. You want results that close on schedule. When envy knocks, answer with architecture, a dashboard, a clock, a policy, a single executed consequence, and a question that turns heat into information. Predictability is your kindness. Consistency is your strength. You do not dim to be tolerated. You build so others can stand taller without pulling you down. Govern the optics, govern the tempo, and govern the access. Reduce comparison, reward order, keep your tempo. Price envy, don't court it. Ration access, don't apologize for it. The dividend of stability arrives when your terms are public and your door is scarce. You list what you do, what you don't, and at what cost. Scope, timeline, decision rights, review cadence plain, written, signed. The guessing game ends, and with it half the fights. People stop testing you for discounts disguised as emergencies because your clock does not sell fear. Meetings shrink to what can be decided. Handoffs tighten because maybe is no longer legal tender. Strong contributors drift toward you, not because you flatter them, but because your room lets them build without dodging hidden traps. You make access valuable by limiting it. Office hours replace ambushes. Written briefs replace late-night calls. Those who respect the path get faster answers. Those who don't wait without drama, without exception. Envy still exists. It just has a price and a queue. That price is preparation, evidence, alternatives, total cost, a named owner. The noisy learn that volume cannot buy priority. The skilled learn that clarity can. Vendors stop tacking on rush fees because you never buy in a rush. Recruiters learn your bar and stop sending glass reputations. You become boring in the best way. Projects land, margins hold, and people sleep. From survival to strategy, it starts in your nerves and finishes in your optics. You breathe first, then speak, You keep a neutral face that neither flatters nor threatens. It saves you from accidental promises. You answer at the speed of intention, not alarms, and your calendar becomes a constitution. Decisions batch on defined days. Reviews run on documents, not volume. Reversals require new data, not new moods. You publicize your cadence response windows, escalation thresholds, audit trails, and suddenly others time themselves to you. They bring cleaner files because your process makes a mess expensive. Strategy is logistics in daylight. You move chat to briefs, briefs to decisions, decisions to signatures. You reward early warning with time and penalize last-minute theater with cost. You separate advice from authority by naming who carries the risk. You standardize the path for favors, a simple form with trade-offs visible to all. Entitlement dies when the market price of exception is published. You keep a small number of bright lines and keep them bright. Because access is rationed and rules are visible, the status game runs out of oxygen. The result is not coldness, it is safety. People bring their best work because the floor is solid and the ceiling is clear. Optics are part of order, not decoration. You freeze speculation by narrating facts on a regular beat, scorecards, milestones, misses owned without performance art. You root praise down and accountability up. When you grant mercy, you bind it to behavior. Truth told early, collateral posted, date agreed. Mercy feels like grace, not weakness, because it lives inside the rule. When a competitor shouts, you do not sprint, you examine failure modes and ship a quiet update that outlasts their headline. Your presence edits the room, claims tighten, voices lower, deadlines turn into dates. Authority becomes visible as calm that spends itself only where it compounds. Now the quiet crown. Night glass, a long table, too many slides. Heat arrives. A budget overrun, a blame parade, a plea for one last exception. You let the first exaggeration hang until it condemns itself. You ask for the ledger, the owner, the risk if nothing is done. One cut, one safeguard, one date. You do not raise your voice, the room lowers theirs. Someone reaches for noise. You point to the line, everyone remembers the one you enforced once. Precisely, without cruelty and without delay. Memory does most of the governance. You do the rest with a sentence. This is how a stable peace is, earned not with charm, but with clarity. Envy is acknowledged, priced, and drained of poison by the cost of access. Fear is rare but real, because consequences arrive on time. Respect is routine because promises land on their dates. People can plan their lives because your borders don't wobble. The system grows quiet, the work grows clean, alliances get steadier, and you collect the surplus that predictability always pays. Publish the lines, ration the door, and let peace pay dividends.